What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the library. Today I'm going to tell you about NoodleTools. NoodleTools is a citation manager that can also be used for creating works cited pages, annotated bibs, and making note cards and even outlining your entire paper if you want to do that. To get into NoodleTools, we're going to start with the web browser open. You want to go to my.noodletools.com, where you will see a login screen. Now, if you have been at Marist for a while now, you have already used NoodleTools. You'll want to sign in with the ID and password that we suggested you use when you first created your account. If you can't remember that, click on Forgot Password. You will need to type in what you think your personal ID is and the last four digits of your phone number, and it will give you a password hint. If you have not created a personal ID or password in NoodleTools here at Marist, come down below the sign in button and click on register. Once you do that, you can fill in this information here. You have to be on campus for this to work. If you're at home, it won't let you do this. So when you get to this screen, fill in the boxes. You can make the personal ID and password whatever you like. I highly recommend you make it the same as your PowerSchool login. That way it's easy for you to remember. Please put the real information in these two boxes here because that's what you use to reset your password if you need to. All right, I'm going to log in with my ID and password and sign in. NoodleTools will always open on the Projects tab. Your Projects tab is probably going to be empty right now, because any existing projects from previous years are going to be accessible through this calendar at the top. So if you want to access an old project, click this year box and go down to the year that you created that project, and you'll see your old projects there. If you don't have any projects here or you want to start a new one, guess what? Go up to the new project button at the top and click that. Give it a title. I'm going to call this one Test. Make sure it says MLA and Advanced, and then click on Submit. Now you'll see that it appears right here. It does not automatically put you in it. You have to click on the project title to get started working. Now, I'm on an empty page. What I need to do is start populating this. So if I'm doing research, I would have a source open and I would click on new source, and then I can start making a citation for that source. The first thing I need to do is answer, where is it? So I'm probably using my computer to get to it, which will lead me to either a database or a website. If you're using something like ProQuest, Gale, or EBSCO, that's a database. If you're using something like ESPN.com or AJC.com, that's a website. Don't worry if you get it wrong and you figure out later you need to change it. You can do that later. Do the best you can. So if I'm looking at a book or a newspaper that I have in my hand, that's print or in hand. This can get a little confusing. You can always ask if you need help. So I'm going to use an article from EBSCO. So that's a database. And then I look down here at this whole long list of stuff and I figure out what I have. It might be a picture. It might be a book on the database. It might be a magazine. It might be a newspaper. I'm going to pick newspaper right now just to show you what this looks like. Okay, if I get in here and I figure out, oh, I picked the wrong thing, I can change that over here on the side. I can go back to website, database, digital file, print, and then I can also change it from maybe newspaper to magazine or whatever other types of formats I need to change. The only thing that does is changes these boxes here. So I now need to start filling in the boxes. I put in the name of the database. I was doing EBSCO. If I start typing, you'll notice that it starts filling the thing in for me. And I just come down here and pick what I've got closest to what I'm using. If you see that it's not coming up in that list, just finish out typing and move on to the next box. The URL you will get from the top of the screen for the source you are using. It's the part that says http:// There will typically not be a DOI. You know what I do with that? I'll leave it blank. Anything that does not have information for you, just leave it blank. Don't make anything up. The date of access will usually be today's date, so I can just click on today and it fills it in for me. And then I go on down and I fill in the boxes as I can find things. Sometimes there's no author listed, so it's okay if it's blank. If I do know the author's name, I will type it in. So this might be John, and last name Smith, and then I move on. If I need to add a second author, I can click on this button to add a second one. I put in the title of the article right here in this box. And I'm going to deliberately make a mistake here. And so you can see that there's this little yellow triangle and a note, a suggestion that tells me what the problem is the error that I just made. It says the first letter of the words should be capitalized. So I need to fix that. On any box that I'm uncertain about, I can click it and there'll be a blue eye, and that will give me more information about what should go in the box. This can save me time because it will tell me if it's usually left blank, and then I don't have to worry about trying to find that information. Typically, you will skip page numbers if you're using an online resource, so don't worry too much about that. You want the name of the publication. I'm going to call this Time Magazine. I'm not going to worry about the issue. And then the date, I'm just going to go June 2021, right? And then down here, there's this big box that says Annotation. If you're doing an annotated bibliography, this is where your annotation goes. If you're not doing an annotated bibliography, just leave this empty and don't worry about it. Click on Save, and boom, I've got a citation right there in my source page. If I realize I need to fix something about this, I can just go over here where the three dots are, click that and click on Edit. It'll take me back in there and I can change things. Now, one more tip about this, you'll notice I said leave boxes blank if you can't find information. The only things that have to have information in them will have a little red star next to them. So those are the ones you really, really have to have something in. What I'm going to do now is go back to my other projects and open one that has more than one article in there so that I can show you some other things we can do. I'm going to work on 9th grade newspaper research by clicking on it. Here it opens up and you'll see I have a couple of articles already in here. There are a few things I can do from this point. I've already showed you how to edit an article. If I need to add an annotation to something, I can click on the three dots and then edit, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom and click on annotation and type in my annotation and then save it and it will add it. Once you get your project done and have all of your citations and sources in here, you will want to be able to print that out. Do not try to highlight these and copy them and paste them into your document. The problem you'll run into is it will also highlight this background color, these little tags, these little pictures, and you won't be able to get rid of them. That's not how you print this. To print it, go up to the top and click on the print icon. Before you actually export it to your Google Doc or Word doc, click on formatting options and just make sure everything is done appropriately. Right now it's set to annotated bibliography. I might want to do a works cited, so I want to fix this to say what I want it to say. All I got to do is click on that, change it to which one I want, and then I can close it. Page header should be your last name. You should include citations if you're doing a works cited, citations and annotations if you're doing an annotated bibliography. And the URLs should be included. This should be the default. You can close this now and then click on export and export it to a Google Doc. But what this will do is send it out to a Google Doc. It will be properly formatted, and then you can take that and either print it straight out or copy all of that and put it into your paper at the end if you already have a paper that you're working on. Now I'm going to go back to my projects here just to show you another couple of things that might be helpful. If your teacher has instructed you to work with classmates or wants you to share your project with them, you can do that here. If you hover over a project, you'll see there's a to-do list, and there's a big plus right here that lets you share. If you click that, you can share with an inbox, which is something your teacher will set up. You want to ask your teacher what is the inbox name, then click on share, type that in here, and then click on done, and it will share it with your teacher. If you want to work with another student, click on add student, ask them for their ID for NoodleTools, not their password, obviously. Type in their username right here, and then add them as either a peer reviewer or a collaborator, depending on what you guys are doing together. You can use NoodleTools to create note cards for a project. And here I am looking at the tabletop with some note cards on it. And what this view does is allows me to make note cards and then move them around, stack them up, arrange them in different ways so that I can organize my ideas differently. Something that happens quite often is you'll get into tabletop and you won't see anything. That's because the tabletop can be moved around. So if you don't see your note cards, drag these bars around and see if you find your note cards that way. Make a new note card, click on New Note Card, give it a title, select which source it's connected to, and this will have a list of all your sources in this project. Give it any tags that you're using, and then decide which box you're using to make your note. If you're quoting from the text itself, put it in this big box here. If you're summarizing an idea, put it in this box. You can put your original idea right here. And then you can save and close the note card, and it will show up on your desktop just like this. Some things you can do to help organize: you can change the colors of your note cards so that maybe all of your ideas are the same color and all your quotes are a different color, however you want to organize that. You can edit your note cards by coming back over here, and you can give it a rename. If you double click on a note card, it will open back up to this screen here so you can change stuff. You can also on this page work on an outline by clicking the outline button at the top. When you get ready, you can print your note cards. So just like we did before, you can export it to a Google Doc, or you can export the outline by itself, or the outline and the note cards, everything all together. All right, and I'm going to go back to my projects page right here. Down in the lower left corner, I'm going to move this out of the way so you can see it, is my username. If I click on that, that gives me my profile, and I can change things like my user ID, my password, all of that information. Also right here is where I sign out when I'm finished. If you have any questions left, come visit me or Ms. Williams in the library, and we will be happy to help you.